Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with the Forgotten City, blind. Now, the election is happening again, and this time Sentius is going to win, which is going to be a first for me, so surely it will change the storyline a little bit, if that happens.
Of voters gathered here to elect the city's magistrate. The candidates are Sextus Sentius Imperiosus and late nominee Gallus Galerius Helva. Marcus Malleolus Gurges withdrew his candidacy earlier today. As agreed, we shall dispense with ballots and candidates will abstain from voting. Let's make this quick. As I say your name, call your vote. I'll start with you, Horatius.
Sentius, of course.
Georgius.
Sentius.
Dacius.
Sentius.
Virgil.
Sentius.
Ulpius.
Galerius, the man who saved my life.
Rufius.
The man who treated my rheumatism. Galerius.
Citizens, you have made your decision. Sextus Sentius Imperiosus.
My fellow citizens, you've placed your trust in me once again, and you won't regret it. I vow that each day henceforth will be just like this one, and I will deliver.
You and your rival, whatever your name is, you're responsible for this, aren't you? Nobody likes Caput Murday foreigners interfering in an election.
Shut up and let the magistrate speak.
Malleolus is going to be magistrate by the end of the day.
You have no idea what you're doing. You're going to get us all killed.
Just stay out of our way, and we won't have a problem.
Wait, I will not allow you to do this.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius, ignore her. Proceed.
This is insanity.
So it defaults to
us all.
Lies! It is time the golden rule was exposed.
it defaults to Malleolus starting the coup anyway. So unless I can get Galerius to win, I won't be able to proceed.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Okay, so I'm going to do all the things, which is, like free Ulpius and Julia, convince Galerius to run and all that. I'll speed it up because, to be honest, it's going to be pretty boring.
Oh. You there. I'm sorry to trouble you, but I couldn't help but notice that fine bow you're carrying. No idea how you managed to get your hands on it. You're not... Then...
What are you hope? And it.
Demetrius. So. Far. There.
Sal. What are you?
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no. No. Help here.
That's...
What?
Why do you...
I know. Please.
I'm sorry.
Please help it.
You... Well, you don't... If I... Weird. I'll go...
I saw, and there are any. Well, it. Really? You already have it? That's impressive. You're just a step ahead, aren't you? This is going to make her so happy. Equitia, I mean. All right.
May Apollo keep you safe.
What? Fine.
Salve. No.
Where's Ulpius?
Watch.
Okay, that's one of them.
Shut up. Senti. Claire? All right, friend.
Okay, so I did pretty much what I did last time, and now I guess I'm going down to talk to the old man and pretend to be convinced by his talks of moral relativism, so that he helps me, because I don't think there's actually another option. If you say you're you believe in objective morality, he gets angry at you for being intellectually dishonest. So...
Thank.
Come and join me, but welcome, welcome. It's a sincere pleasure to meet you. Tell me, what brings you all the way down here?
I'm looking for Kabash.
Ah, Kabash. I know this man. He came through here some weeks ago. I will tell you everything I know, but first, a request. I've been living down here alone for many years, with nobody to talk to but myself. The one thing I long for above all else before I die is a good philosophical argument with somebody astute. I'm hoping that person is you. Let us find out with this simple question. Have you deduced the name of the god responsible for the Golden Rule?
It's Pluto, the god of the underworld.
Excellent. I see you are indeed quite astute. Very few come to that realization before their time in the sun is over. Now, will you join me in a friendly Socratic dialogue?
All right.
Wonderful. Then let me begin with a question. Would you say you know the difference between right and wrong?
As I said, that's pretty complicated.
You are an overthinker too. We're the same then. It is probably why I became a philosopher. But if you struggle with right and wrong normally, then down here with the Golden Rule, surely your struggle can only have become more difficult.
Yeah.
Well, that's reassuring. And the truth is, you're not alone. You see, out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable, because our mistakes rarely had consequences. So we would tell lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves as good people. But under the Golden Rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate this maze, we would have to be certain about the difference between right and wrong. Wouldn't you agree?
Whose version of right and wrong?
That is an excellent question, and it leads directly to my next line of inquiry. So let me ask you this. Is there one system of morality which is always perfectly correct, which you could follow in every situation and always do the right thing?
As I said, complicated.
How can that be? Since they all have differences, it follows that in some cases they would offer different conclusions about what is right and wrong. If there is a correct moral code, then wouldn't it follow that only one can be the correct one?
The correct moral code depends on the laws and customs of whichever society you're in.
Ah, you know, I think you'd find an ally in Herodotus, a scribe from among my people who lived some 400 years ago. He told the story of a man named Darius, whose curiosity was piqued when he learned that a certain tribe had the practice of eating their dead. He asked some Greeks who burnt their dead, "What would it take for you to eat your dead?" Aghast, they replied, "Nothing." Then he asked the tribe who ate their dead, "What would it take for you to burn your dead?" "Nothing," they replied, equally aghast. From this, Herodotus concluded that custom is king, that right and wrong are merely local ideas which do not survive the journey from one tribe to another. I take it you're in agreement?
Not really, but you're kind of forcing me to say it, so let's say I am.
Then let me ask you this. If you visited a tribe where they ate each other, copulated with the dead, and drank wine from cups made out of human skulls, would you still maintain that within such a tribe, there is nothing wrong with such conduct?
Well, I was trying to tell you I wouldn't, but then you got all angry, so I guess I would.
Disturbing. And while I do not agree with you, at least you would have the support of Herodotus.
What's your point?
My point is this. I don't think anyone alive truly knows any hard and fast rules about right and wrong.
Yeah, okay, that's actually good. We're getting onto something, because I do think there are some things that the vast majority of people would agree are wrong, such as, as I said, murder, or things like, I don't know, torture, or whatever. So, what about do not kill?
Surely you would agree there are circumstances where an exception may be made, such as where it is necessary for self-defense or to prevent a greater evil. For any rule, you can imagine there are countless situations in which that rule may be suspended, and those situations are impossible to codify. If there is one thing I have observed about rules, it is that virtuous people do not need them, and evil people will always find a way around them. And so we must accept our limitations, and the sad truth that no human society will ever achieve the utopia for which it strives. In mathematics, we would call it an asymptote, a line that can be approached but never reached. Because the only way to create a utopia is with the ever-present threat of force, such as the Golden Rule. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs when he first appears as a protector. And life under tyranny is no utopia at all.
Yeah, I agree, actually. I think if the only thing stopping you from committing immorality and evil is the omnipotent threat of force, then you're not a good person to begin with. You're an uncouth barbarian with no concept of morality. And to be honest, that's kind of my problem with religion, because religion uses the ever-present stick of hell to coerce you into doing good. And I think that framework betrays some very low opinion of humanity. Like, if you need that to be a good person, you're not really a good person. It's kind of a catch-22. I agree.
I'm glad to hear that. In any case, thank you for humoring an old man. I would be happy to answer your questions.
So, where can I find Kabash?
I will tell you, but you may find him hostile. To prepare for your encounter, there are certain things you must know. Very few know this, but before the Romans came to this city, it was once entirely Greek. The architecture, the temples, and the people. When the Romans came, in typical fashion, they claimed it as their own, built over everything that could be built over, and renamed the things that could not. Thus, the Shrine of Persephone became the Shrine of Proserpina. And when they found an obelisk bearing the name Hades, they tore it off and replaced it with Pluto instead. And the city's dwindling Greek residents, witnessing this compulsive Roman conquest, decided to preserve what they could of their heritage. They gathered their art and valuables, secreted them away through the Temple of Demeter, and hid them here, out of reach of the Romans.
I'm with you so far.
However, there was one thing that always seemed out of place to me, and it is the very thing you seek. An even older plaque bearing an Egyptian inscription.
How did it get here?
We had no idea until years later, when the first of my friends began to die. As a result of their deaths, we began to dig catacombs branching off from this cavern to lay them to rest. We extended the tunnel so far that we accidentally discovered another, an even older tunnel, which somebody had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Suddenly it made sense why there was an out-of-place Egyptian plaque among our people's possessions. You see, we proud Greeks had thought the Romans beasts for stealing and corrupting our heritage. But it turns out this game has been going on much longer than any of us imagined. I think it is best you head through the catacombs and follow Kabash's trail.
What's in there?
There are certain things you must see for yourself. Take this key. You'll need it to open the gate.
Okay, so what do you think about the Golden Rule?
Did we not discuss it at length already? Oh, I see. You're toying with me. Ha!
Do you know a way out of here?
Ha! If I did, would I be living like this?
What's your story?
You mean, how did I end up living alone in this cave with nothing but these relics of the past for company? It's a long story.
I'm listening.
I was a quarrelsome young man. At 19, I left Corinth for Rome to study rhetoric at one of her finest academies, so I could argue more forcefully. Back then, I used to enjoy verbally sparring with everyone I could, and I was good. One night I found myself in a tavern, in an argument with a drunken mercenary. It became heated, he drew a gladius, and I won the argument, but lost my life. I woke up on the banks of the Styx at a campfire opposite Karen. Of course, I tried to persuade her to let me return, but even with all my skill, I failed. I settled in, made friends, and learned what I could, quickly realizing our little community faced certain death under the Golden Rule. So I began looking for a place to hide underground. Fortunately, I found this place waiting for me. You see, I was not the first to take refuge here. I returned to my friends above, persuaded them to join me, and 12 of us descended for the last time to live out our days hidden from Hades' tyranny.
How have you survived down here?
Living in darkness is not without its challenges. The first challenge is diet. Fortunately, I found that eating fresh fish provides most of the nutrients I need. And sometimes, when there are Greek people living up above, I surface at night and salvage the offerings they've left in the temple of Demeter. The greater challenge is the isolation, so I like to imagine arguments, where I argue both sides. But, like so many things in life, arguments are better with a partner.
Where is everyone else?
I'm afraid I am the only one left. There were 12 of us in the beginning, but one by one, my friends passed away. Some from malnutrition, others from madness and despair. It has been lonely. Before my unexpected visit from Kabash some weeks ago, I'd not seen another person in many, many years.
Why can't you tell me your name?
I fear that if you were to utter my name in the city, even by mistake, that Hades would hear you and know I am still alive.
Why can't you return to the surface?
My generation was wiped out, turned to gold, many years ago. My friends and I were able to avoid the same fate by hiding down here. I think it's safest to assume that if I was to return, Hades would realize that his furies hadn't finished the job, and he'd send them after me again. As you wish.
Okay, I think I'm done for
Enjoy
now.
our chat, but please, keep my presence here a secret, yes?
Alright. I'm going down here. A friend of the philosopher. Would that by chance lead to one of the cisterns? Remains of a broken statue neglected for thousands of years. Egyptian board game. The board for an ancient game called Senet, the rules of which are long forgotten. Egyptian clay vase, decorated with animals and geometric patterns, now contains nothing but sand. Seems to be locked from the other side. This pillar is clearly Egyptian. What it's doing here? Okay, so that's the remnant of the older Egyptian city. An Egyptian plaque which translates to "the many shall suffer for the sins of the one." Yeah, so it has been happening for thousands of years to peoples of, different cultures and all that. That has been pretty strongly established already, what with the fact that what with the fact that even the obelisk is bearing, those different plaques with names of different gods from different cultures. I thought you were an enemy. That's, I think, Anubis. I'm not sure if that's a jackal's head from this angle. Doesn't really look like it.
Stop! Do not come any closer. Who are you?
I'm Matthias. Who are you?
I am Kabash. And let me guess, another Greco-Roman come to loot and plunder the resting place of my ancestors,
I'm just looking for an Egyptian plaque.
To what end?
I want to return it to the obelisk.
That is welcome news. You really are not Greco-Roman, are you? I was planning to return it myself, but for now, I must remain. Here, take it, and restore the honor of Osiris.
A plaque bearing the hieroglyphic inscription, Osiris, Lord of Silence. Thanks.
Now, as for the other plaque.
The fourth? You know about that?
Indeed. I have it right here. I stumbled across a collection of dusty curiosities while searching for a place to hide from the hungry children of Amit, and there it was.
May I have it?
You may not. In fact, I am about to destroy it.
Why?
Because it speaks a treacherous, blasphemous lie.
How so?
I will tell you, But first, do you know what this place is?
The Duat?
Indeed. And I see you know our history. This is the Duat. See what has become of it. I have been down here for weeks, piecing together its story. And here is what I have learned. As Egypt declined and the Greeks had their turn to flourish, their souls came here in great numbers. But instead of adopting our ways, they copied and corrupted them. When they found the obelisk bearing the name Osiris, the true god of the underworld, they desecrated it, removing his name and replacing it with Hades. Even the ferryman of the dead, known to my people long before as Kerti, they renamed to Keron. As if that desecration was not enough, they built over this place, using it as the foundation for their own underworld, so that ours was forgotten. My only solace is that the Greeks then suffered the same fate when the Romans rose to power, renaming Hades to Pluto, and the cycle began anew.
Yeah, but to be honest, isn't... Like, I feel like there's an implication that there might literally be another city even deeper, like, you know, an ancient Sumerian city with the Sumerian god of the dead, and below that there's like a megalithic, you know, there's like a megalithic stone city of the cavemen with the Unga Bunga, the god of the dead. Like that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. Like it's, you know, it's a bit presumptuous to say that Egypt is like the one true first civilization. Like, you know, I feel like there are a couple of contenders. I can see why you'd be unhappy with the Greeks and Romans.
I am glad to hear it. Which brings me to this other fourth plaque. It is inscribed with a script I do not recognize, but it is ancient, almost as if it is older than the plaque bearing Osiris.
Yeah, that was my point.
If that is so, it would imply
yes,
the gods of Egypt are mere imitations too, copied and corrupted from an ancient people who prospered even before us, and that my people did to them what the Greeks and Romans did to us. But this I cannot accept. I sense a deception. Perhaps it is the work of Set, the usurper, seeking to undermine Osiris once more.
No, that's literally true. Like, and that lines in with my personal views on religion. Like, I think humans, you know, developed religion to cope with reality, and the reason why religions mellowed out with time is because humans became more civilized and they realized that the shit they used to believe was barbarous and wrong, so they retconned their own religions, and that's why the New Testament God is decidedly more mellow than the Old Testament God, even though he's the same person and he's supposed to be perfect, so how can he really change? What does the inscription say?
You will never know. This work of sacrilege must be destroyed, thrown into the black abyss below in Osiris' name.
Please don't do it.
You are too late. It is done.
Venture beneath the Egyptian underworld. Yeah, that's... I wish you hadn't done that.
It could not have gone any other way. It was Osiris' will. Now, the thing of evil you sought is gone. Why are you still here?
Well, I need to take it. What do you think is down there?
I do not know. What could possibly lie beneath the underworld? Perhaps it is infinite darkness. Perhaps it is the lair of Amit, the devourer of souls. All I know is, it would be unwise to venture down there.
Well, that just makes me want to go down there even more.
Is everyone so contrary where you are from? Do not even consider it.
What do you think about the Golden Rule?
I think if someone is to break the Golden Rule, it will not be me. For I try to live as I always have by the command of the goddess Ma'at. Do to the doer to make him do. As for the punishment that will come from it, I finally understand why it has long been said among my people that gold is the skin of the gods.
Do you know a way out of here?
This is where I belong, as caretaker of the memories of my people. If our ways are to be remembered, it falls to me.
What's your story?
I am from Rakotis, which you may know as Alexandria, the name of the city the Greeks built over it. I was a fisherman, like my father before me. Since the Romans had taken over from the Greeks, I took the opportunity to learn Latin and eventually traveled to Rome. When the fires broke out last year, I tried to help. I gathered terrified locals into my boat and led many of them to safety farther along the Tiber. On my 7th trip, a passenger demanded I wait for his brother. But we were full to almost sinking, and smoke was all around us. I told him his brother would have to save himself, and he tried to bribe me by placing a coin into my hand. When I refused, he drew a dagger and thrust it between my ribs. I awoke on the banks of the river to a stranger wearing a ram headdress. He said his name was Kirti, and at the time, I simply thought him odd. It did not dawn on me until much later that he was the Kirti, the ram-headed ferryman described in the Book of the Dead.
Well, I'll be going.
Good. Be gone from this place. Wait. You are planning to go down there. I see it in your eyes.
Definitely.
You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. Madness.
Well, I will find a way back up.
We shall see.
And we shall see indeed, although I am pretty interested in seeing... Like, I don't know much, for example, about Sumerian religion. I know a couple names, like Marduk, the god of storms. But it's going to be interesting to see, like, will there be, like, ziggurats and stuff? I'm also curious if there's something in here, but I don't think so. This seems to be just an obstacle to overcome. So I think I'll just plunge into the depths.
That lamp, praise Ra.
Yeah, a Sumerian plaque, bearing the cuneiform inscription Nergal, the Fierce One. I think this is modeled by... I think the shape of this gate is modeled after the Gate of Ishtar, with like the battlements. Anything in here? It doesn't. An ancient Mesopotamian statue of a creature with the head of a man, the body of a bull and wings. It's positioned as if it's guarding the entrance. An ancient Sumerian statue of a man with the head of a bird. Perhaps this is Kumut Tabau, the man with a bird headdress who Rufus saw when he awoke by the river. An eroded set of barricades. It looks like these Sumerians were trying to defend themselves from something. Okay, I can't get in here. A corroded brass plate with Sumerian markings on it. It appears to be a pressure plate for some kind of a trap. I'm not entirely sure how that helps me, to be honest, but maybe there's passage through here. A broken set of Sumerian pottery with the other ancient people. While other ancient people made pottery by hand, the Sumerians were the first to develop the turning wheel, which allowed them to mass produce it. A Sumerian plaque written in cuneiform: "The sins of the one shall become the suffering of the many." That's another trap. From where will it come? Okay, this just goes back to the spikes, which is probably not advisable.
When I told you that you would not find a way back up, that was not a prediction. That was a promise. You will die here.
There is no need for this to end in violence.
I disagree. I warned you against coming down here, against perpetuating this sacrilege, but you persisted. You have undermined and dishonored the true god of the underworld. How did you think this would end, if not with bloodshed?
Just hear me out.
Very well, I will listen. But if I sense deception, or if you further insult my gods, I will carry out my threat. So tell me, why should I let you live after you salvaged this instrument of blasphemy?
Well, if something can be destroyed by the truth, it deserves to be destroyed by the truth, which is actually a bit of a profound statement, which I thoroughly agree with. So let's go with this.
Then you admit it. You wish to destroy the sacred beliefs of my people. I will not allow this. Many of my ancestors endured great hardship to live good lives so that we may descend to the Duat in death and be judged accordingly. We prepare to have our hearts weighed on Anubis' scales and to swear ourselves innocent of sin before the 42 assessors of Ma'at. And yet, I arrive here to find the Book of the Dead contained only a seed of truth. And now, I ask myself, did our priests steal and embellish the stories of an older people and feed us lies all our lives simply to trick us into obedience?
Well, probably. And to be honest, again, that's kind of what I believe. in reality, but isn't being a good person a worthwhile pursuit in and of itself?
I am not sure I follow. Speak plainly.
Yeah, if you were only good in life because you expected a reward, were you really a good person? I do believe that, but I do believe this is a better pep talk, so even if beliefs about the afterlife weren't quite accurate, isn't it important that they motivated you to live good lives? To be honest, I kind of believe this to be more true, but I think it's going to make him angry, but I will say it because I do actually believe this. If you were only a good person in life because you expected a reward, were you really a good person?
Now you insult me and all of my ancestors. You have sealed your own fate.
If you attack me, you'll break the golden rule.
Good. I welcome it. You see, the philosopher told me that each time it breaks, Osiris bellows with rage, and his voice shakes the very foundations of the earth. I can only hope one more tremor will lay waste to this fragile place once and for all, and you along with it.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Where does this exit to? Ah, the other side of the door. Maybe I can still survive this. So, to be honest, I wanted to reset... Well, I didn't really want to reset the loop, but... Because resetting the loop means I have to arrange all of the election business again. But I don't really have a choice now. I'm kind of dead. Okay, so I do need the Greek plaque, which Dooley has. And he will only give it to me if he's free, and he will only be free if I manage to to elect Galerius to the office. So I think I'll have to agree to help Decius, the merchant, so that he votes for Galerius. But I'll do it next time, because this episode has been long enough. Although it has been pretty cool with the different underworlds. It's a neat concept. Overall, this game is pretty cool. But that's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.